Hello everyone, it's Laura here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm gonna show you how to make a Halloween card using stamps and stencils by Create a Smile Stamps as well as Nuvo Mousses. To start off this card, I cut some cardstock using a die by Studio Katia. This die cuts directly to an A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I find it really handy. I use it pretty much on all my projects now. So I positioned the stencil as centered as I could, and now I am coming in with a spatula and applying Nuvo Mousses. This is in Black Aubergine, I think the name is. As always, you will find all the supplies I used in my blog post, which will be linked down below. Here I figured out this particular spatula was not very useful, so I switched out to this one, which is a bit more comfortable, and I am distributing the Nuvo Mousses on top of my card base. And as you see, I'm not trying to be perfect at all because this is a Halloween card, so I thought that an imperfect look would be nicer. And at this point, once I'm happy with the result I got, I can remove the stencil and leave my background to dry. And this, I don't know, maybe took 1 or 2 hours, I'm not entirely sure. But I definitely did not leave them to dry overnight. So while I was finishing the card, the background was pretty much dry, or anyway dry enough for me to go ahead and assemble everything. But we'll get to that later. For now, I stamped some of the images of the Creepy Cute stamp set by Create a Smile Stamps on some Canson XL watercolor paper, and I used archival ink in jet black by Ranger, and I'm coloring them with my Derwent Inktense Pencils. And when I use these pencils, I like to use a water brush and pick up the color directly from the tip of the pencil, rather than laying down the color with the pencil directly on the paper and blend that out. Because I feel like I have more control on the amount of pigment I lay down, and also this way I think I will get the most out of my pencils because I won't need to sharpen them as often, so there is basically zero waste. So what I do is I pick up some color from the tip of my Inktense pencil using the wet tip of my water brush. I lay down the color on the paper, and before blending it out I clean off the excess color from my water brush, either by wiping it on a scrap piece of paper or on a piece of cloth that I have near me, or in this case on my hands. So you will see me with dirty hands throughout the whole card making process because it was just the fastest way this time around. And then I go back in with a clean wet water brush and I drag out the color so that I get a nice gradient. And this card will be the last one in my Halloween 2017 card making series here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed the series and it provided you with some inspiration. And I would love for you to let me know in the comments below which card was your favorite. I will now put some music and let you enjoy the rest of the coloring process, and I will be back once all the images are colored. Once all the images were colored, I used my cutter bee scissors to fussy cut them all. And yeah, I will not show the whole fussy cutting, but I just wanted to show you one image. This is pretty simple because there's a lot of straight lines, but as you see, I turn around the paper and I keep the scissors straight. And this way I get a more regular and precise cut, and I always like to leave a little white edge around because it gives the look of a die cut image, which I really like. Here I am mounting my background on some heavyweight white cardstock using a lot of double-sided adhesive because the background had warped a little bit after I applied the Nuvo Mousses, because that's just regular cardstock and it's not very thick either. So this way I managed to flatten it out again. And here I am trying to figure out the layout of the card. I decided to use googly eyes. These are very small and by Studio Katia and were just the perfect size for this card. And this is my husband trying to help me figure out how I want to place this strip of cardstock, because card making is a family affair. So whenever he's at home and I'm making a card, I always ask him what he thinks about it, and he's always very happy to help and give advice. And I don't know, I just thought it was cute and I wanted to share it with you. But in the end I decided to go for some green cardstock, and I added some polka dots using a background stamp by Clearly Bezoted Stamps. And because I felt that like this the card was a little bit too bottom heavy and there was just too much green on the bottom and not enough on the top, I decided to stamp an image again from the Creepy Cute stamp set using some Distress Oxide in Twisted Citron. And I am stamping it repeatedly until I feel like I have enough going on up there. To intensify the effect even further, I am using my Prismacolor colored pencils. I picked a green and a yellow, and I am going over the stamped areas to fill them in and make sure that the color is bright and uniform, because I didn't get a perfect coverage with the Distress Oxides. I'm not sure if maybe with the stamp positioning tool I could have done, I could have stamped repeatedly over the same area and gotten a full coverage without the need to come back in with the Prismacolor colored pencils. And now I'm checking that the composition is nice and I'm happy with it. And I'm also slightly modifying these little drools of, I decided it's radioactive material, and adding a little bit of extra drops. And because I felt that this green strip of cardstock was a little bit too bright still and it was drawing too much attention, I decided to dull it out a little bit using a Spectrum Noir marker. This is the IG1 marker, and I just went over the whole strip with the chisel tip, so now it's a little bit more muted and I think it matches better with the rest of the elements of the card. And I can finally go ahead and start adhering my images. And for that I'm using some liquid glue, on the one hand because it allows me to wiggle things in place a little bit and find the correct placement, and on the other hand because I thought it would be more appropriate given that I have a texture background, and I think it would be more effective than dry adhesive. And here I'm using my multi-medium mat and my Pick Me Up tool to adhere the little googly eyes. And this Pick Me Up tool is really helpful when it comes to dealing with small embellishments like these ones. And finally I wanted to show you how pretty the Nuvo Mousses look and how fun these googly eyes are on the card. And that's it. That's my card for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found it useful. If so, please let me know in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. You can visit my blog for the full list of supplies, and I hope I'll be back soon with another video. Ciao!